All right, we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Jon here. Jon, you're behind so many incredible works, so many incredible books that have been impactful to many business leaders throughout the world. One of which that a lot of people talk about is the Energy Bus. I mean, that book I think changed the mindset of a lot of different leaders and the way they look at problems and how they address positivity and making sure they have the right mindset. So I'm just excited to have you here and to get into your story.
Hey, Ben, great to be with you. And I was just at an event with John Maxwell speaking at his event, and it was incredible how many people came up to me and said they read The Energy Bus, and it was like the book that they knew me, where they knew me and where they really first introduced to me. So it was pretty cool to see all these leaders come up to me. You don't have any idea that people are actually reading your book. You don't realize the difference you're making. And then everyone's coming up to you going, energy bus, energy bus, energy bus. You're like, well, I've written 29 other books where they're like, energy bus. But it was pretty cool.
That's awesome that you got that reaction. So early on, how did your interest in leadership and wanting to write about this topic and actually create books, how did this kind of begin?
It began with me wanting to change myself. My wife had enough of my negativity. I was in a dark place, a difficult place. I had lost my job during the dot-com crash. I actually brought to the NFL the idea of NFL wireless. Any device was the company I was working for. And I said, you could take scores from your mainframes, from your computers, and bring them to these wireless devices. We're talking 1999, 2000. And so I introduced the NFL to that. We actually did their first pilot program where they brought these scores to Blackberries. It was so cool at the time. Right now, everyone has scores on their phones, but back then it was really unique and rare. So I had this company that I was working for, I had 100,000 shares. I thought I was going to make my fortune. I was moving and shaking. And then we ran out of money and everything went under, lost my job, didn't know how I was going to pay the bills. I was really struggling mentally. And I was being really negative to my wife and negative to just everybody and just ready to just give up. And my wife had enough of my negativity. She said, I love you, but I'm not going to spend my life with someone who makes me so miserable. If you don't change, we're over. And in that moment, it was the ultimate ultimatum that caused me to change. I said, okay, I want to be more positive. I want to stay married. I've got to work on this. And that began this journey of working to become a more positive person. I began researching ways I could be more positive. That led me to write a positive tip of the week that I started to send out. Again, we're talking 2001, 2002. I had an email newsletter going out, one of the first of its kind. Now everyone seems to have an email newsletter with lead gens and so forth, but I was just sharing this newsletter, had 5 subscribers initially, my mother, my brother, best friend from college, and then people started to share it. And from there, that led me to writing books. People asked me if I would want to write a book. I had a publisher ask me. And so I wrote a book, wrote another one. Don't really talk about those books today because the third one was The Energy Bus. And that was really like in many ways my first book. That was my first fabled. The first 2 that you write are usually not great, right? So I wrote The Energy Bus. I consider that my first one. And then that was a book that I wasn't necessarily trying to write a leadership book, but as you said, leaders started to read it. And then from there, I began being invited to all these different organizations and companies and sports teams and school districts. So now I'm working with all these leaders. I'm meeting all these leaders. And I began to realize that they had these organizations where they were trying to help people be positive, higher performing. But a lot of times the issues were leadership. Like you had to be a better leader to build a stronger team. So I began thinking a lot about leadership and what makes a great leader. So I didn't set out to be a leadership expert, a leadership author, but this has become my expertise. And working with the best leaders on the planet, I really know what great leaders do. And I help a lot of leaders become great leaders. So it's become my expertise. And I would say it found me more than me looking for it.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you wrote 2 different books before you got the Energy Bus. What did you change in your style, or that led to you having such an incredible success with the Energy Bus?
Well, the first 2 books were like how-to books,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like 101 ways to energize your life. The other one was 10-minute energy solution. So I was really setting out to be more of a health, wellness, energy kind of person. And I had a transformation that happened within me actually
Mhm.
during that time. I got on the Today Show, and the show was called Get Energized Today. And so think about it. Like, you get on this amazing show at the time, it made you or broke you, that show. Now it doesn't have as many viewers, but back then you got on that show, that was it. I got a 4-week series on the Today Show called Get Energized Today with both books. And then it was an energy makeover series where I was taking these 4 people, teaching them how to transform their energy, become more positive, and help them with their life and their work. So here I am, early 30s. I'm on the show. Again, I'm about to break out. My dream's going to happen. And the show was great. Like, this, the series went well. I really helped them. I stood out. People said, your life's about to change. And for the first couple of weeks afterwards, I was getting all these calls and all these amazing things were coming my way. And then after that, like, everything dried up. Everything. And then book sales actually dried up. Like, they did well initially and then dried up. I'm like, what's going on? I had sold my restaurants. I had been in the restaurant business after the whole .com crumbling, trying to provide for my family. So I built up a successful franchise of several restaurants that I owned. I sold those, wanted to then just write and speak 100%. And by the way, I second mortgaged my home, $20,000 in credit cards to open up that first Moe's Southwest Grill. Actually, it was a franchise. I was the first Moe's in Florida, the 5th Moe's in the entire country. Now there's hundreds of them, but I was the first one in Florida. So I had that Moe's just trying to, make enough money. But now now I sold that. Now I'm really focused on writing and speaking, and everything is drying up after the Today Show. I'm like, what's going on? And that really began a transformation in me, a spiritual transformation, where I literally started to cry out to God and just started to pray and started to surrender and realize I needed to do more than just work on my positivity. Like I really had this angst and this anxiety always within me that was never going away. And that is what led me to then say, okay, I need help. I began praying more. And on one of these walks of prayer, the energy bus just came to me. Literally just came to me, popped in my head. Boom, lightning strike. And I wrote that book in 3.5 weeks. I wrote a fable. I said, the other 2 are how-tos. I want to write a fable. And I want to write a book more towards the business audience. I don't want to be this health and wellness guy. I want to move towards business and focus on that. And all of a sudden, I write this book in 3.5 weeks, rejected by 30 publishers.
30 publishers.
I'm told it's not going to happen, but finally, John Wiley and Sons agreed to publish the book. Eventually, it was a dream come true, but bookstores wouldn't carry it. So I went on a 28-city tour, paid for by myself, from city to city, sharing the message in the book. And eventually, 5 years later, the book became a bestseller. Here we are 17 years later, and the book has sold 3.5 million copies, from that beginning. So it's been a journey, but it's something that I had to go through to learn to grow. And it's why I write about leadership. It's why I write the books I write now. And the style changed when I realized, I could write a fable. Training camp after that, my favorite book was a fable. Carpenter, very popular book, a fable. My newest one, Difficult Conversations Don't Have to Be Difficult, a fable. The Seed is a fable. Now, others like The Power of Positive Leadership, that's not a fable. Power of Positive Team's not a fable. So I mix it up, but I really feel like my strongest voice and style is definitely the fable.
So you just believe that this was the book that was going to become successful for you, that you were willing to just take on all these expenses, tour around to all these different areas just to get the traction. You just believed in yourself like that.
Yeah, I just believed that I had to go out and do it. It was more about the mission and vision. When you have a vision and mission and you know your why, you will know the way, and you won't let obstacles get in the way. We don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out because we forget why we do it. And if you love what you're doing and you're devoted to it, you're not going to quit. Like, devotion and love and purpose is what drives grit. Like, if you love it, you'll keep on working to be great at it. So that kept me going, this vision and mission. And it was this: I wanted to encourage as many people as possible, one person at a time. So that was like my bigger purpose. And then the vision, of course, was to become successful in what I did. I have to be honest. Yes, I wanted to be successful. I didn't want to be a failure. That kept me going. But I also wanted to make a huge difference. I wanted to help people and I wanted to add value. And then when you do that, it's amazing. You become someone of value. But I wanted to make a difference. And that's what drove me, because really my change and my shift happened when I lost the job during the dot-com crash. I realized I was so focused on myself and I was miserable because of it. So after that, I realized I want to help others. I want to make a difference. And I've been speaking like crazy the last couple of weeks. And as you can tell, my voice is a little shot. I got a little cold from the airplanes. This is what it's like. Like, I don't have to do this anymore. You know, I've sold millions of books. I've done really well with the work that I've done, but I'm doing it because it's really about the vision and mission still. Like, it still keeps me going. I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm the strongest I've ever been. My voice is the most powerful in terms of the messaging, my content, my speaking style. Everything is better than it's ever been. So you got to keep going, because now is when you can actually make the greatest difference. And that's what keeps me going.
That's awesome.
So Ben, what makes a great book? First and foremost, I don't think it should be very long. I think people want shorter books today, so that's really important. Also, I find you got to keep people reading, make them want to turn the pages, engaging characters, engaging lessons. When you are finishing the chapter, make them want to turn the page and read the next one. To me, that's important. So creating a compelling story, and also something that's going to make them better. The books I write, like, what are they missing? What do they need more of? What's going to encourage and inspire them? And then how could they apply it to their lives? That's the books that I write.
And you have a lot of background and a lot of works you've written around connecting people and having a positive mindset. What do you think we need today in society to really bring those kind of values that you talk about a lot more out? Because there's a lot of people that are fighting with each other and lack of camaraderie. How do we change that?
Yeah, there's so much negativity in the world, and there's so much disconnection. The more connected you feel, and I wrote about this in The One Truth, the more you feel one with others and connected to them, the more you want to help them. When you feel separate from them and disconnected from them, you don't care about them. So the key is, how do we create connection in a world that's more and more disconnected? And there's always this force that's going to try to divide. There's broken families, broken marriages, broken relationships, broken communities. We see a broken country in many ways. And we have fights about Israel and Palestine, and we have fights about Russia and Ukraine, and we have fights about Republicans and Democrats. And so there's always this fighting going on and separation. If we can really see the commonality of our humanness, our care for our families, our love, hopefully, for each other, recognizing that we all have value, that is what we need. But unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever have a world where we don't have separation and division and disconnection, because that's the journey of our existence. It's going from separateness to oneness. And in many ways, as I said, there's this force always trying to take us from oneness to separateness. So there's always going to be that force that's happening. But the more we can recognize it and realize what's going on, as I wrote in The One Truth, we can find that connection. We can find that courage. We can find that power and that peace. Like, for our country, you need a core set of values to be able to agree on, to have a unification. And I think the challenge today is we don't have a core set of values. We used to have a core set of values, I think, but now we really don't. And that's why we have the differences. And that's why we have the disagreements. Because I think everyone would say we want our kids to be safe and happy. But you would then disagree on how to make those kids safe and happy and what constitutes a safe and happy kid. And so that's where you have the disagreement. And the challenge is, in many ways, this force, and I believe it's evil, will actually try to portray itself as good when it's actually not good, and make good seem bad. And that's what we have going on. And so you have people who's literally going nuts because they are here to do good things, but they're being perceived as bad. And then you have people who have really bad intentions, and yet they are coming across as good. And I think that's the biggest challenge we face right now is you don't have a set of values. We also don't have a clear heart and intention of that oneness and connection. And I can always tell people's real motives when you get to it. Like, do they really value people? Not what they say on TV. Do they really value people when they're one-on-one with someone? Are they calling for the cleaning up of homelessness, and yet they walk past a homeless person on the street and don't even help that person? You know, a lot of people are big on ideals and small on action. And I think that's the biggest challenge. And so I don't know if we'll ever get there, and that's not being not optimistic, that's being realistic. But I know our job every day is to love people, to help people, to serve people, to value people, and also to even love people who disagree with you. And that's what I'm trying to do every day. If I do that, and I believe everyone could actually do that, that's how we'd solve the issue.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I think you bring the problem out and make it more objective, try to find the things that connect us.
Yes. What unites us, what connects us. Like, you and I could be from completely different countries and backgrounds, but if I said, hey, Ben, do you have a family? Yeah, I have a family. Do you love your family? Yeah, I have a family. I love my family. Oh, do you love ice cream? Yeah, you love ice cream. I love ice cream. You know, do you love chocolate cake? Yeah, I love chocolate cake. You know, do you love the Yankees? You might say, yes, I love the Yankees. Or who do you love, Ben? What baseball team do you love?
I grew up in Arizona. It's the Diamondbacks.
Okay, you love the Diamondbacks. Okay, I can't say I love the Diamondbacks, but just say we love baseball. We love baseball. You know, we love football. So we can find the things that we love. We love sneakers. We both love sneakers. We love cool shoes. So find the common things that you love.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of ways that you describe in your writings about how corporations and just, entities can really have a positive minded workforce and just be more positive in general. What would you say are some of the easiest steps that these kind of companies today can take to get to on that type of path?
Yeah, I believe companies today, leaders today, need to invest more in their people's mindset. They need to understand how mindset does affect their attitude, their behavior, and how much they enjoy their work. And again, that's what the One Truth is all about, helping them elevate their state of mind. Like, every company should help their employees elevate their state of mind. They'll be higher performing. They'll be happier, more positive. They'll be better teammates. They'll be more productive. So that's essential. I believe that every company and leader should invest in leadership. We've got to develop our leaders at the top because a lot of leaders don't know how to lead. And we got to develop our leaders throughout the organization. That is essential. And then we've got to invest in teamwork. We've got to make sure that we are working with our teams to become more cohesive, more connected, more positive, more productive. And so I actually have a certification program where we teach mindset, leadership, and teamwork. And I created those three because, having worked with so many companies or organizations over the years, I know that every organization needs these three areas to focus on, to build, to develop, if they want to be great. All those three then make up your culture. What is your culture? What you believe, what you value, what you think, what you say, and what you do every day. So as an organization, are you investing in your culture? Are you investing in your people and their mindset? Are you developing your leaders? And are you building stronger teams? And if you do that, you're going to have so much more success.
Mm-hmm. So there are certain fundamentals that can be applied to any company that can really change it around.
Every single company, every organization. I mean, I've worked with the greatest sports teams on the planet and the greatest companies, and the same principles apply to all of them. These same principles include a shared vision and mission, love and accountability. We love each other, but we're going to hold each other accountable. Setting standards and then working to meet those standards. Communication, connection, commitment, caring, the 4 C's that build great relationships and teams. I can give you a whole host of leadership characteristics that will make a leader a strong and great leader. So yes, the fundamentals don't change. The principles don't change. The stories change, and how we apply it to each person changes. Like, there's a million ways to improve communication. How do you like to do it? One of our strategies is to basically spend time with one person every day on your team. Like, connect with one person on your team every single day. If I connect with you and another member, one each day, Over the course of the week, I've connected with a bunch of members on my team in a meaningful way, 5 to 15-minute conversations, and we're going to be more productive. We're going to get to know each other better, and that communication is going to lead to greater success. Where there's a void in communication, negativity will fill it. So we always have to make sure we're filling that void with positive communication so the negativity doesn't breed and grow. Like it's strategies like that. It's things like that that we can spend hours on. We do a full day workshop on each of these exercises and principles and practices is what we train leaders with now and develop. I used to just deliver keynotes and write books. And then I realized the need for implementation. And that's when we became a workshop company where we now deliver workshops to all these organizations.
So it doesn't sound that complicated, some of these techniques, but they're just not done.
You know what? So often when we're cluttered, the complication becomes our standard. So clutter creates complication. We think it has to be complicated, or we make it complicated. Simple is powerful. So what we do is we strip away the clutter and we make it so simple and easy that when you do it, it's powerful. And that's why I think people resonate with my books, my talks, my strategies, my work, because you can do these things. A complicated formula, a complicated set of habits and practices is not something most people can do. But what can you do every day that will make you a better leader, a better team, and develop a more positive mindset? It's like a success journal. Every night before you go to bed, you write down your success of the day. One success every day. You're going to go to bed a success. You're going to wake up a success. Every night, you're going to be this success. Every morning, you're going to be this success. And now you're looking forward to creating more and more success. What you focus on shows up more in your life. And what you look for, you will find. So think about it. You get a new car, you start seeing that car on the road. If you don't believe me on this, go look for blue cars on the road today. You'll start seeing more blue cars. We're focusing, seeing more. So that's a big part of what we're talking about here is like a simple strategy. But you do this with your employees. You do this with your students if you're a principal of a school. Everyone's going to focus on success. You're going to become more successful. Again, a simple idea that is so easy, but has powerful results.
So, Jon, I know you co-authored a book with the former Atlanta Falcons head coach, Mike Smith. Why do you think athletes just gravitate towards the principles that you have so much? I think they're one of the biggest bases for you.
Yeah, I think it's because I was an athlete. So I guess for some reason, it's like, it's so funny. I was with a pro team the other day and the running backs were all hanging around me and I was a running back. And it was like the dogs just like know each other. When they greet each other in the park, they just start hanging out together. It's like the running backs just started hanging out together. And I think being a former athlete, for some reason, I did not intend this, but coaches just started reading my books. Athletes resonated with it. I think it's the simplicity in which I write and perhaps my style. And there's probably an energy and a frequency to it being a former athlete. But again, so do many companies and CEOs and organizations. So I think it resonates with both. But yes, athletes are looking for ways to get better. They're looking for strategies. And I believe I'm giving them strategies that they can then implement and see results on. And I present in a way that maybe they haven't heard before or a simple, actionable way to do it. And that's what my style is. I never realized that was my style, but more and more people have been coming up to me saying that. And I never realized that's what I was doing. I just was doing what I knew how to do and how I just did it. And now I realize, oh, not everyone does it like this. Not everyone writes like this. Not everyone shares it like this. So I just spoke to the Bears and the Seahawks and I knew what they needed to hear. I knew what would benefit them. I knew what challenges they face along the way. I know what holds them back. So again, I think having that experience helps them get better. And that's why they resonate.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you didn't realize that fully, but that's kind of what's happened because your style is it's straightforward, it's pretty concise. I think that a lot of people like that because it's not beating around the bush.
Yeah. And, I take what might be like 4 or 5 pages to say something and I say it in one, or I might even say it in a paragraph and then we move on. When I read other books, there's so much extra words and stuff that just drags on. You don't need all those words.
Mm-hmm. So, you're pretty efficient, Jon. You've been able to write more than 30 books, 17 best-selling titles from there. What's your what are some of the techniques you use to get stuff done to make sure you're able to complete a lot of things? I mean, how are you able to optimize your time like this?
Yeah, I get up every morning when I'm writing during the writing process, and I don't get on my cell phone. I don't get on email. I don't get on social media. If I do, I'm done. Like if I get on any of those, I can't write. I lose my creativity. So I got to get up first thing and I got to write. So I'm fresh and I write. Then I'll take a break. I'll go for a walk. On that walk, I'll pray. I'll get more ideas, get all my ideas on those walks, come back. I'll write those ideas down on a piece of paper. And then I'll start writing again because I'm writing on a computer, a laptop. And then I'll be writing. I'll add some of those ideas in and I'll write more until I'm done for the day. And after that, like I just get some work done. I'll make my calls. I'll do my to-do list, whatever I have to do, I'll do. That night before I go to bed, I will read what I wrote. And then after reading it, I'll make some edits and some changes. And I'll write some new ideas. And the next morning I get up and I do it again. So that process has allowed me to write books in 3.5 to 4 weeks. But again, my books aren't long, but 3.5 to 4 weeks is usually how long it takes to write almost every book I've written. The longest has been 4 weeks. And when I'm done, it's because of that simple process of doing it every single day for those 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow. So it's a consistency and you've built this up, this routine for a while.
Yeah. Consistency, not allowing the distractions to keep you from writing, doing it every day. And then the morning process and at night, again, writing some new ideas and editing at night makes you think about it. And the next morning you're ready to get up and do it again.
And Jon, just the last question that I have, what do you want to accomplish now at this point in your life? I mean, you've done a lot already. What are some of your short-term, long-term goals? What's kind of your big picture vision?
Well, what's interesting to me is I still have more books I want to write. I know that there are some great books ahead for me to write. I believe my best work is ahead of me, so I'm excited about that. And then I want to make a difference and help other people do this work. I was speaking to a group that was getting certified. We have Jon Gordon certification where people can now deliver programs based on the power of positive leadership, positive teams, and the energy bus. And I said to these folks, the measure of my success will not be determined by what I do. It will be determined by what you do. Can I empower you? Can I encourage you? Can I equip you to go out there and do this work, to find your voice, to make a difference? Because they share those principles, but they tell their stories. So it's basically the principles from the books, which are universal principles, and a great framework. Like the frameworks are key. They work, they're proven. But then you tell your stories within the frameworks. So now your voice is coming through. And then you help the audience apply it. If you can help them have success, and I can have hundreds of people doing this, it's incredible. Like, that's what's happening now. Hundreds. We're going to have thousands in the future. As thousands are doing this, that's a ripple effect. So to me, that's what I want to do. I want to pour into people, invest into people, help them do this work. I've already done it to over 50 people that have proven success, incredible stories. So now it's about multiplying that to thousands. To me, that's going to be really exciting to see what we accomplish in the next 10, 20 years of that kind of ripple effect of impact. Because what are we doing? Developing positive leaders, helping people with their mindset, helping build stronger teams when we know that weak teams cause division. And we said division is the problem of this country and of marriages and families. If I can help people get united and connected, we will change the world and impact the world by impacting families, by impacting teams and organizations. So that's what I'm really excited about. Like that to me is an exciting future, plus writing my own books. And then I just started the Jon Gordon Circle where I now have a mentorship program. I'm choosing 100 people, only 100. And that's going to be a group that meets, every month. And then we meet one time a year in person. And we're going to pour into each other, learn from each other, and grow. And I'm excited about that because I said, okay, I really want to go deeper with people, but I got to make sure I do it in the right way, right time allocation. But I'm going to pour into this group of 100 like no other. And that's going to be another ripple effect as well.
Well, definitely a lot of exciting things you're up to, Jon. I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I look forward to the impact you're going to continue to have. I think you've already done a lot, and you've affected the way leaders lead today and the mindset that they have. And hopefully you bring a lot more positivity to them and continue to do that. So thanks for doing this.
Hey, thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like I'm just getting started. I was just with Dabo Sweeney, the head coach of Clemson football, and I've worked with him now 13 years, every year, spoken to the team during training camp. So we were there in his office talking like we usually do. And I said to Dabo, do you feel like you're just getting started? Because I do. I feel like I'm just getting started. He's been doing it for years. He's like, yeah, I feel like it's the beginning. I go, I know, me too. I feel like I'm just beginning. He's 54, I'm 53, and yet we feel like we've only just begun. To me, that's exciting.
Definitely is.